Well, hello, and you join us here today to talk about something that Omega's done. Omega's been knocking it out of the park quite a lot recently, socking it to Rolex quite a lot, and it seems they've done it again for the anniversary of James Bond, 60 years. But they've really gone to town this time. Let's find out how. Tom, James Bond, are you a fan?
He's alright.
Yeah.
Probably wouldn't hang out with him.
A lot of his friends do end up dead, so there's that risk too. Also, he's away a lot, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's on business quite a bit, so you don't really get to spend much time with him. Imagine being his wife.
Use the door, James. Stop leaping through the window. You're costing us a fortune.
So to celebrate that, Omega has released 2 Seamaster watches to acknowledge 60 years of James Bond on the screen. And funny story, actually, the 2 brands are intrinsically linked. You might know James Bond now. The movies are almost satire in itself, that it's all about product placement. They even released product placement films to sit around the main movies. But the Omega Seamaster was one of the first proper placements in a James Bond movie, and was the placement that saved Omega. They released for the 1995 Pierce Brosnan's GoldenEye, they released the Seamaster Professional 300, which is a watch that everyone wants.
Lovely watch.
Yeah, but that watch, Omega was dying. Jean-Claude Biver, who had saved Blancpain before, came to the rescue and was like, James, look, why don't you take your Rolex off, try that on. I know Ian Fleming wrote about a Rolex and he had one, but shut up a second, this Omega is something else.
Yeah, do me a solid, Jimmy, come on. Just pop this on. It can shoot frickin' lasers, trust me.
That's how it all started. He promised the moon. And so ever since then, it's been 60 years. And Omega, you know what Omega's like with anniversaries of things.
Oh.
God, Omega never forgets a birthday. So there are 2 watches. The first one is a bit more ordinary. We'll go through that first. But the second one is worth hanging around for because it is quite bananas. Before we get into the details, I just want to say that both of these watches are described by Omega as having nods to things. As you'll see, it's less nodding and more head banging. So let's get started. Tom, what says 60 years more than the number 60?
The number 60 followed by the word years?
Usually these Seamasters have a triangle at the top of the turning bezel to allow divers to easily locate the moment in time where the thing they are doing comes to an end. Usually for reasons of life-saving. Omega has chosen to ditch that and put 60 at the top instead. It's 60 minutes, it kind of makes sense. It's less obvious than the triangle in comparison to the rather similar 50 that's also on the bezel. But it's 60 because 60 means 60, Tom, and it's the 60th anniversary. Do you understand?
I never would have guessed that was a tribute to 60 years of Bond. So you find 60 at the top of watches because it denotes 60 seconds or 60 minutes. That's where the 60 goes. I guess it worked out.
Yeah.
But yeah, kind of weird.
To avoid the impending death of a diver who may actually use this watch, they have chosen to loom the 60 in green rather than blue.
Right.
So, there you go.
Okay, cool.
Tom, if I said to you, lollipop seconds, how does that make you feel?
Is that some sort of world record? How many you can shove down your throat in 60 seconds? The record is held by one William Henry Chupa Chups.
The lollipop seconds is something that they used to have on the Seamaster long time ago. A few editions had it, and it's become the dot over 90 of the Seamaster. So you know how the Speedmaster, everyone's like, oh, do you remember how it used to have the dot over 90 and now it doesn't? And now Omega's like, oh yeah, we know that, and we put it on our special editions. Similar sort of deal. Lollipop seconds hand for the Seamaster. Means it's
right.
It means that it's like Omega nodding and you nod back and Omega nods back and you both know.
Cool, yeah. That inner circle lollipop stuff.
You're a big fan of the original Seamaster.
Yeah, I really like that watch. Yeah, it's cool. I prefer the original waves to the laser engraved ones, but it's all right. Yeah.
The original Seamaster, like you said, it had those embossed waves on it. And then for a period, they got rid of the waves entirely and just had smooth. And then they brought the waves back with some really crisp, deep laser engraving.
Yeah.
They have tried to replicate the original waves with this one, still with laser engraving, but they are shallower. So it looks a bit more like the original, but it still doesn't quite have the softness of the original. It's still quite crisp, but nice try, I guess. But do you know what my favourite feature of this watch is, Tom?
Go on.
It has, do you remember in packets of Frosties back in the 90s, they did these little plastic screens that you tilt them back and forwards, and then you would see a footballer score a goal or something like that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
It was like having 3 seconds of television for yourself.
Yeah.
Well, Omega is drawing from that same nostalgia, knowing that all the people who are going to buy this watch were probably eating Frosties back in the 90s when GoldenEye first came out, because they've got one on the back as well. Have you seen it?
Yeah, it's very clever. I don't know what kind of black magic fudgery they're using to make old JB walk across the sapphire case back there, but it's very clever, and yeah, it's a nice touch. Usually I'm a little bit annoyed that they print something on the crystal there to cover up the movement, but if it's animated, then I can make my peace with it.
So it's a little bit like the Speedmaster recent Snoopy edition with the rotating Earth and Snoopy on the back, where they take the drive from the seconds at the front to turn a wheel on the back, and then they use the moire effect to through a lattice of printed lines, which look like the rifling in the James Bond entry. They use that to make him move, and he just kind of...
Yeah, not bad.
It's pretty cool. One weird thing about the case back, Tom, usually they have a screw down case back with the Naiad locking system so it lines up. This one is held down by 7 screws, which in some pictures are shown to line up and other pictures aren't. I don't know why.
Oh, right. Oh, maybe it's a screw for every decade of Bond and then one extra one.
Oh, yeah, because of course IKEA packs always come with that spare screw, don't they? So.
Oh, no, it's 007 screws on the back.
Oh, brilliant. Write into Omega and get them to update their copy, because they probably didn't figure that one out.
That's an extra tenuous Bond link there that they've not accounted for. Go on, Omega.
Do you know what I think they did? They made a watch. This is like modern art. They made the watch, and then afterwards they figured out all the things that relate to James Bond.
Yeah, it does sound like that. I mean, they even cite like the blue as being GoldenEye blue. I don't remember GoldenEye being particularly blue. Maybe they watched it on a broken telly the first time. And
I do actually really like this watch. I think it looks very nice. I like the Seamaster in general. What do you think, Tom?
Yeah, I mean, the details and the Bond details and changes are very subtle, and so, they've not ruined it, so it still remains a awesome watch.
I think the only thing I don't like about it is how Omega is using their special edition Seamasters to wean us off of the old prices and onto this idea of Seamasters costing much closer to a Submariner.
Yeah.
The Seamaster of this generation, I was sure you could get one on a rubber strap for 3,000 something. Now they're in the 5,000s, and this one is £7,100.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's a big increase in a short time.
Yeah, I remember back in the day, I like thinking, I might be able to get that, but now it's hopeless.
It is. That plane has sailed.
Yeah.
But so perhaps, Tom, you might be equally uninterested to learn about the second edition they did. This is the subtle one. They did a crazy, crazy one. It is £115,000, I think, because they've given a price in dollars, but they won't reveal the price in pounds. So this is what I'm calling the Seamaster Rainbow.
Yeah.
Initial thoughts?
It's very pretty. I'm not sure. Again, I think the links to Bond are going to be tenuous. It's quite attractive. I like the mottled grey dial. I guess, what's that? Is that aventurine or meteorite or something?
It's silicon. We'll discover the meaning of that shortly.
Silicon, like the driving gloves that Bond wore in No Time for Fun or whatever it was.
That is less tenuous than the real reason.
Right, okay.
So let's start with the bezel, because it is quite colourful, as you may have noticed from several metres away. The bezel is set with rainbow treated diamonds in green and yellow as a nod to the Jamaican flag. Are you with me so far on my James Bond 60th anniversary watch?
right up until nod to Jamaican flag. What am I missing there?
The reason is that the James Bond films are made possible by the writings of Ian Fleming, who bought a house in Jamaica.
Does anybody know that?
We do now.
Thanks to this 60th anniversary Omega Seamaster. Wow.
Maybe it's a well-known thing about Ian Fleming, but it's kind of tenuous because this is the 60th anniversary of the films, and we're acknowledging that by saying where the writer of the original books had a holiday home. But it gets even more tenuous, Tom.
That's dumb.
It gets dumber. The dial. It's quite a pretty thing, that dial. It looks almost like meteorite, and maybe you think like, oh,
yeah,
that one where James Bond goes to the moon. Well, that might be Tintin, I can't remember.
Oh yeah, no, he's always going up there.
Oh, fine.
Raking it and...
oh yeah, that's right, yeah. This is made of silicon. And we've seen silicon before. I think Romain Jerome has used silicon in its natural form to create that crystalline effect. Care to hazard a guess as to why the dial is in grey silicon?
Okay.
James Bond, 60 years.
Okay, all right. Is it a reference to a Bond girl? Is silicon what Terry Hatcher's mostly made out of now?
Unfortunately, no.
Is it something... who's the gadget man? Q? Does he give Bond a silicon chip that makes women more suggestible in one of the films? I'm not sure.
Again, unfortunately, no.
Oh, I don't know then. I give up. I've done the obvious ones.
It's easy, Tom. It's easy, Tom. You remember the James Bond movies that are now 60 years old and how the original books were written by Ian Fleming, who had a holiday home in Jamaica?
Yeah.
His holiday home in Jamaica, it fronts a small private beach, and that beach has yellow sand. But some of the beaches in Jamaica have kind of a blackish grey sand, hence grey silicon. Do you understand?
Are you f***ing with me?
No.
That's so dumb, even for a watch company.
Looks cool though, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does look cool.
Omega, forgiven.
Right, so that's all silly. But I've just seen this on the product description.
Yep.
The watch is presented in a mango tree box with mother of pearl marquetry, 60 years of Bond logo, and 60s inspired dots.
Right.
The use of mango tree references the song Underneath the Mango Tree from Dr. No, the first James Bond movie.
This is like the ultimate nerd Bond trivia ever, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know if there's a Bond convention where they all gather in a hall and sing Underneath the Mango Tree and it means a lot to Bond fans, but to me that just sounds, again, tenuous.
I do not know what they were thinking. Like, how deep does that barrel go that they were scraping the bottom of for ideas on a 60th anniversary James Bond watch?
Yeah.
The crazy thing is, I like both these watches.
Yeah.
They both look great.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, they are. They're lovely looking watches. And it's fun to find out what the connection is to Bond. But yeah, there you go.
Other specs on this particular watch are the movement also has the moire thing going on, but there is the addition of an 18-karat Sedna gold rotor and balance bridge. Who is Sedna? Sedna comes from the same pool as the case material, which is Canopus gold. It's kind of like, yeah, they have moonshine gold as well, because Rolex named all their materials like Everrose and Rhodosor and Rhodesium, so Omega had to do it, because they couldn't just say rose gold or white gold. They had to add a name to it. And Canopus, which is their white gold, is so named after the brightest star in the night sky. No, the second brightest star in the night sky. Because no one likes to brag about how bright their white gold is, do they? I like that Omega has been humble and down to earth with their $140,000 diamond-lined watch.
Yeah, and also it's a nice reference to one of the most beloved Bond films, Canopus Goldfinger. Yeah.
The last little thing this watch has that's worth pointing out is that diamond at 12. Any guesses? Any guesses as to the meaning?
Yeah, well, it's another Bond film reference, isn't it? Diamonds in the bezel are forever.
Close, but no cigar.
Is it because a diamond represent the 60th anniversary? Is that the material?
It is.
For a 60th wedding anniversary?
It is, yeah. Ding, 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 we have a wiener. 60 years of James Bond on the silver screen gets a diamond, surrounded by Canopus gold.
Brilliant.
So there you have it, dear viewer and listener. Did you guess all of the different things that Omega have snuck into this watch? If you did, give yourself a pat on the back and tell us your score out of 15 in the comments below. Let us know what you think about these watches too, because they are kind of cool, and I do like the fact that the Rolex Rainbow is finally getting some competition. And until next time, until the next crazy decisions by Omega, we will see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye-bye. The details, they are tenuous, sir.